Welcome! Today, we're going to break down the core ideas from legendary investor Ray Dalio and turn them into a real, practical guide for getting ahead in your life and your work.
So let's just jump right in with a choice that, according to Dalio, pretty much defines everything. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? It's not about trying to avoid failure, it's about avoiding a life that's just meh, a life without any real challenge or meaning.
And that leads us to the first big idea. You have to consciously decide what kind of life you're actually aiming for. Everything else flows from this one decision. So Dalio paints this really clear picture, right? On one side, you have the great life. He calls it a risky journey through a dangerous jungle. It's tough, but it's filled with incredible experiences, good and bad. On the other side is the ordinary life. It's safe, it's predictable, but it's also kind of forgettable. And here's the twist. The real prize isn't actually getting to the destination. It's about the struggle itself. The real satisfaction, the real growth, comes from pushing yourself through those challenges. Okay, so you've picked the tough path, the jungle. Now what? What happens when you inevitably hit a wall or make a mistake? Well, this is where Dalio's philosophy gets really powerful. He gives us what he calls his golden formula, and it's so simple but so profound. It's this: pain plus reflection equals progress. You see, pain isn't something to avoid. It's a signal. It's your teacher telling you it's time to learn something. So, let's unpack that. It's a three-step loop. First, you have to embrace the pain. Don't run from it. Face it head-on. Second, you reflect. You have to figure out the root cause. What really went wrong here? And third, you make progress by designing a principle, a rule, to make sure you don't make that exact same mistake ever again. And you know, this quote just nails the result of that whole process, right? If you're really learning and growing, you should look back at your old self and cringe a little. That's not a sign you were stupid. It's a sign that you're evolving. It's proof that you're making progress. Okay, so you're learning from your pain, you're evolving. But how do you make sure you don't forget these hard-won lessons? That brings us to the next step, building a system of guiding principles. This is where that wisdom you've gained stops being just a memory and becomes a real tool. Think of it like this: you're building your own personal cookbook for success. So the next time you face a similar problem, you don't have to guess. You just open your playbook and follow the recipe. And what happens is, this whole process totally flips your mindset. You stop going into situations thinking, I know I'm right, and you start asking a much more powerful question. How do I know I'm right? That little bit of humility opens the door to so much more learning. But here's the thing, and Dalio's super clear about this. You can't just keep these principles in your head. That's not enough. You have to physically write them down. It forces you to get clear, and even more importantly, it lets you share them with other people so they can poke holes in your logic and help you make them even better. And that idea of sharing your principles with others, well, that leads us right into the next big piece of the puzzle. This whole journey through the jungle, it's not a solo mission. Look, you just can't do this alone. You have to surround yourself with the right kind of people. And Dalio draws a really sharp line in the sand here. Are people on your team partners who are there for the mission, or are they just employees collecting a paycheck? You want true partners. So how do you find these people? Well, here's a clue. Don't look for the person who has all the answers. Look for the person who asks the most thoughtful questions. Those are the people who are genuinely trying to get to the truth, not just trying to be right. In fact, he goes even further. He says the single fastest way to get smarter is to go find credible people who completely disagree with you. Don't hide from disagreement, go hunt it down. Trying to understand why smart people see things differently is the ultimate stress test for your own ideas.
Okay, so we've been through the struggle. We've built the principles. We've found our partners. But what's the end game here? What is all this for?
I mean, the obvious answer for a lot of people is this, right? All this hard work, all this pain, it's all just to make more money.
But Dalio would say, nope, you're missing the point. Money isn't the goal. It's just a byproduct. It's the result you get when you achieve excellence, but it should never, ever be the primary target.
So if it's not about the money, what is it? Well, true success is this amazing mix of things: doing meaningful work you love, building deep relationships based on trust, constantly learning and evolving as a person, and yeah, enjoying the satisfaction of the struggle itself.
And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? It all comes down to that one fundamental choice. The jungle, a life of struggle and growth and meaning, or the safe place,
a life of comfort and predictability. So, we've walked through the framework. We've seen the path. Now, the only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. The principles are there, the choice is clear. Which path are you going to take?